Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome to the channel, and if you're not, welcome back. It's Eminence Cosplays, and today we're going to be building Mitsuri's lore accurate blade. So let's get started. So today you're going to be needing cardstock, cardboard, tape. I use duct tape and packing tape, paint, scissors, and I use a box cutter, pencil, hot glue, and this took me forever, so a lot of time. So for the lore accurate Mitsuri blade, you're going to need 8 pieces of cardstock instead of the regular 3. So now we're going to take our 8 pieces of cardstock and we're going to fold them lengthwise. So now we do it 7 more times, and after this we're gonna separate them into sections. So there's going to be a section of 2, a section of 3, and another section of 3. This will help make it easier in the process. So now we're just going to tape each section together. This 2 section is going to be the top of the katana, so where the blade point is. And the other sections, there's going to be the middle section and the kanji section, which is the bottom of the blade. Now that we have our 3 sections, we're going to draw the points on. That's going to be the middle section that we're going to just set off to the side. And the last section, which is where we're going to write our kanji. So here I am just drawing the curve for the top of the sword. And then I am going to cut it out. So I make a little box for my kanji, and I'm just going to speed through this part. Feel free to pause. Welcome back. I'm just drawing a line down the center for where the black and pink split on the blade. Moving on to our painting part, I have my local bathroom sink water, a cover for my desk, and black, dark pink, a hot pink, and a light pink for her blade, and I'm just going to pop up the picture that I used here. Now I'm just going to go in with the black. I did it a bit backwards for the first one. I would recommend going lightest to dark, like a normal person, but I decided to make it a little bit harder for myself and went with the black first. So it really just depends on what you want to do. I used our light pink for the kanji. Alright, here I'm going in with our dark pink and making the little swoops in her sword. I'd recommend not doing it the way I did, and you're going to see how I changed it later in the video. But you know what? It still came out good, so do it whatever way you would like. Just let the creativity flow. So I'm going in with the hot pink here. Again, lightest to dark would probably be better, but I did not do that. So you're going to watch me do a couple coats on this so that way all the colors are distinct. Be careful around the kanji, and I'm just doing a few touch-ups here. That way when we go in with our light pink, it's just going to be super quick, super easy. I had to do a couple coats because of how I went in darkest to lightest. now I'm going to speed through this very repetitive process, and I'm going to go lightest to darkest. Also, be aware that this is going to use a lot of paint, so do be careful and make sure that you have a good amount of paint when you start, so that way you're not almost running out and have none left by the end of it. Again, make sure you have your guiding lines and leaving that gap at the bottom just so that way the cardboard pieces have their specific spot, and you're going to notice that we leave a little bit of an inch gap on all of the pieces because those little inch gaps are going to go underneath and make the katana. So this next part here is going to be drawing our guiding lines onto the next piece, which is going to be the middle piece. So what we're going to do here is we're going to put just about an inch, maybe a little bit less of a line, and we're going to put that underneath the previous piece. Now that we've done that, we're going to make our line. We're also matching up the little lines to match the swoops up so that way it's seamless. So what you're going to do is take the top of the swoop and the bottom of the swoop that you did on the sword earlier and just combine the two. And then again, there's going to be the middle line that's just a straight line down the middle on both sides and an inch gap on both sides, and make sure to do the swoops on both sides as well. So again, I'm just going to speed through this so you don't have to watch me paint for hours on end. This did take me a long time, but it was well worth it, and just again, go lightest to darkest and make it easier on yourself, and also make sure that you have a good amount of paint when you start. So I flipped the middle section over, and we're just going to do the exact same thing, lightest to dark, and just going to speed through this. Feel free to pause anytime and come back. And here you'll have two sections done. Right now I'm just going to make the marks for the middle line, again 1 inch, and then measure the swoops. The top of the katana is going to be a little bit different as the middle part starts to go up towards the point of the katana, so just keep that in mind. Here I'm just going in with a lightest to dark, and also adding a little shine on the pink. You'll see that there's a little triangle that I made with the light pink. Now we repeat on the other side, adding that little shine in on the hot pink, but also going in from lightest to dark. Now you have the fully painted one. So I forgot to record the taping of the sword, so you're gonna see the finished product a little bit early. What I did was put clear tape on the sword, the whole thing, and combined it all together. And just make sure you are careful and fold over the tape and watch out for air pockets because they tend to get in there a couple of times. And if you need help, there are some other videos that I have where I do the taping. I just forgot this one. So now we are going to take about 6 pieces of paper, 7 I think, and we're going to make the inserts for the sword so that way the handle and the sword can combine into one. So what I do is just take a piece of paper and roll it up, adding the tape at the end so that way it's easier for the roll. And I'm just going to do this over and over again until I have the desired amount. So I'm setting 2 off to the side, and then I'm going to combine the other 4 into pieces of 2 as shown above. Moving on, we've got the handle. We're just going to fold it in half lengthwise, and then we're also going to fold it in half again. This is going to give our handle shape. We're also going to cut a bit off. So I add a little line on each side just so that way I know where the extra cardboard pieces are going. And then I cut off the excess. Now here I add a line down the middle on each form so that way I can make the hearts. I make about 7 hearts on each one, I believe, and I just do that on both sides. Moving on, I make about 3 of the tall lines, and then I'm going to make a smaller square box and then 2 big square boxes, and I'm about to show you. So here I'm making the smaller square. This is going to be for the bottom of the handle. And then here I'm making the two bigger squares so that way we can have the guard for the katana. Then I just take a box cutter. It's easier to use a box cutter. You can also use scissors. And just cut out all the lines. Now we draw the pattern for the guard. I'm just going to speed through this part, so feel free to pause. I also put a picture of, so that way you can copy. Now that we've done that, we're just going to take our piece and cut out the other one, so that way there's two. Again, water from the local bathroom sink, and then I used pink and yellow for this part. Now we're going to go in with the yellow. For the yellow on cardboard, you're going to need a second coat because the cardboard still shines through even if you have one coat. Honestly, it's better to coat all colors twice on cardboard just because of how much the cardboard soaks in. So now we're going to move on to the blue. The blue I used didn't quite cover everything, so I had to go in with a second coat, and that's perfectly fine. I lost footage somewhere, so make sure that you get all your pieces painted. There's going to be 2 yellow and 1 pink, and then both sides of the handle. Now I'm just going in with some clear tape on the handle to make it shiny, but also close it up. So the 2 supports that we made earlier are going to go into the inside of the katana, and then the handle will also go on there. But we're going to save that for a later part because we need to get the hilt and the gold pieces on. So I lost some footage there too, but what you're going to do is cut out the middle of the cardboard pieces, and also what you're going to do is take the 2 pieces and make them into one by hot gluing them. But what we're doing here is hot gluing the piece so that way it sticks to the katana, and then we're adding one of the gold pieces on that like inch gap that we had earlier. There might be some access, so just cut off anything just to make sure it fits nicely. Now we're going to hot glue the top to add another gold piece. Now that we've done that, we're adding the pink to the bottom. A good way to make sure that the piece is easy to put on is to bend it into kind of a circle. And after that, you can easily just hot glue the piece on at the bottom. Now we're gonna hot glue the hilt so that way we can put the handle on. I go a bit off camera here, I apologize for that. But once we slide that on and hot glue it into place, we're going to add the supports into the handle to make the handle full. Last but not least, we're just gluing the bottom and adding that pink square. Now just trim off the excess and do any minor details that you feel like are necessary. I just fixed the handle because I made my handle the handle piece at the bottom a bit too small, but that's okay. Everything's just a bit of trial and error. And after that, you have a fully lore accurate Mitsuri katana. I just wanted to say thank you if you made it this far. I really appreciate the support, and I'm glad you enjoyed watching. Bye!